Good morning. And good morning, live streamers. Nobody said good morning to the live streamers. Hi, live streamers. Aaron gave me the name of this talk as Remembering Anxiety. And I kind of thought, I'm not really sure how to speak about that because it kind of assumes that anxiety is something that I used to have and now I don't anymore. Is that what he thinks? Is that why he wants me to talk about that? And it doesn't really look to me like that's the case. It doesn't look to me like once I had anxiety, now I found the principles and now I never have anxiety again. But as I was reflecting on it, I was thinking that in my own experience, what this conversation has done for me has totally transformed the way I feel about anxiety. It's transformed my relationship with it. And so over the years, there's been a series of insights that I've had that I kind of wanted to share, just to share with you what a profound difference that just a single realization can make over time. Or not over time, actually, but instantly. And my background, for those people who don't know my story at all, my name's Nicola. I, for 43 years of my life, ran my life with a kind of a series of beliefs that ran my life that I was not really aware of, which were basically work as hard as you can, always be top of the class, always get the A grades, be a high achiever, nothing you can't do if you don't try, put your big girl panties on, you can do anything, right? And with the result that I got first-class degrees and I got promoted all the time at work and great results at school and grew a business really fast and all that kind of thing. Was always learning and driven and ambitious, and this was great. That's what I thought. Like, I'm ambitious, I'm getting somewhere, I'm going places. I was kind of rushing on adrenaline and thinking that was a really good thing. And then at the same time, for at least 20 of those years, I was experiencing panic attacks and anxiety and fear and stress and worry that would get really extreme, and then it would kind of dissipate, and I kind of was almost ordinary, and then it would get really bad, and then it would kind of get better, and it was kind of used to do this cycle all the time. And I think I'd cracked it through cognitive behavioral therapy or NLP or tapping or medication or outpatient therapy or potentially inpatient therapy and all these different strategies and tools that I would try in the personal development area. It's one of the reasons I studied psychology as a degree. 2 degrees, because one wasn't enough. And what I didn't realise, I never saw any connection between the two, between my drive and ambition and wanting to succeed, and the fact that I was having this panic and stress and living in anxiety the whole time. Didn't see any connection at all. Thought, this is brilliant, my life's going really well. And then, apart from these bits, which I'll just hide so that nobody can kind of see. And the result of this, like what you would see on the outside was, you know, me really busy, me achieving things, me getting certificates and putting them on my wall, me working with the best coaches and mentors I could find, me studying more degrees, more programs, reading more books, and my bank account getting bigger, and my house getting bigger, and my car getting flashier, and all this kind of stuff. And then in 2013, I got sick, really sick. Actually, I didn't get really sick, I got flu, but it really knocked me out. I got flu, and then I got migraines and migraines and migraines, and then my anxiety came back, and I couldn't leave the house. And for 3 months, I couldn't work, I couldn't pick my kids up from school, I couldn't leave the house, I couldn't do anything at all. And it had been that bad before in the past, but never for such a prolonged period. And at the same time, or a couple of months later, that was kind of a wake-up call for me that year, and then later that year, my business, which I'd started, I think, 3 years previously, I'd managed to grow it, and it hit $1 million in revenue. And I had been working my butt off for 3 years to achieve that, because it was like, look at me, you know. I used to ring you up and go, look what I did. I'd share my numbers about how well I was doing and how fast I was getting there. And I hit that number, and I looked on my, I remember seeing, I looked on my phone and I saw the number with the 7 figures on it, and there was nothing there, like nothing. I think maybe I was like, woohoo? And then and it shocked me to my core. We didn't even open a bottle of champagne. Nothing. And yet it felt like I'd worked all my life up until that point to achieve that thing. So I was so stumped, because I just thought, well, what do I do now? I could make another one, another million, but the first one didn't work. So that would seem to be a waste of time. And so I was stumped. I didn't know what to do. So I thought, well, it must be the job I'm doing. Like, I must not find, I don't even know what I thought was going to be there, some sort of fulfillment, some sense of having reached there, being done, I don't know. So I thought it must be the job that I was doing. So I started to search around for, like, what job could I do? How could I change my career? And that was the point I bumped into this understanding. So that was kind of the before picture. So when I think about remembering anxiety, I remember not being able to pick my kids up from school. I remember times when I could get to the school gate, but I'd stand there and hope that nobody looked at me, talked to me, or anything, because I was just going to lose it. Getting halfway to the supermarket and having to run home. Getting halfway to being able to put the bins out at the end of my road and not being able to do it and come home. Having to turn down invitations, having to cancel concert tickets, having to make excuses as to why I couldn't be, for a while I was interviewing people. I couldn't interview people because I couldn't be in a room. So I remember that. Like, I really remember what that feels like, if that's the experience of any of you sitting here. Like, I've been in your shoes, totally.
I haven't been in your shoes. But...
You wouldn't fit in my shoes. You wouldn't fit in these shoes. So that's like the miserable part of the story. So I came across the principles, and so I've been around this conversation for about 4 or 5 years. And there's so much that I've seen, but I wanted to share just a handful of what I saw and how it changed things. So the first thing that I saw was, when it happens, I can take care of it then. Now, up until that point, I had been living in 24/7 worry about, what if I get a panic attack? What if I get a migraine? What if it happens now? What if it happens now? Who am I going to ask to help me? Who's on my speed dial? Where can I go? Where's the door? How am I going to manage it? If I go to this thing next week, what happens if I get a panic attack 20 minutes in? What happens if I get a panic attack 40 minutes in? What happens if I have a migraine when I'm driving the car? What happens when my kids leave home and they all go to university all around the world, and then I need to drive on a motorway and I get a migraine in 15 years' time, right? But that was my experience in the now, was full of what if, 24/7. Now, I wasn't even having panic attacks at that time. I was in a pretty kind of calmish sort of stage. And I was only getting migraines once or twice a year, but my experience was of suffering of migraines and panic attacks 24/7, because I never stopped thinking about them. And that simple insight, oh, when it happens, I can take care of it then, was huge. And even better, I saw that when it happens, I'll be taken care of. Something other than me will look after me in that moment. If I get a migraine, and if I look back in the past, I can see every time I've had a migraine, I've managed to get myself safe. I've managed to get my kids home. I've managed to get to my medication. Every time I've had a panic attack, I've managed to pull off the motorway. I've managed to leave the supermarket. I've managed to get myself home. What if the same was true going forwards? Something will come and give me the idea. It will let me know what to do. It will hand me a person to take care of me. It will give me an inspiration of where I need to go next. And before I had that insight, my experience, when I remember anxiety, it was 24/7 worrying about what if. That insight, like Linda talked about yesterday, took all that thinking and just dumped it like that. And the what-ifing just stopped. And that was huge. I didn't even know I was living in it until it went. And that's the same with everything I'll share. Like, I wasn't aware I was in it until it went. The next thing that I saw was that I had an arbitrary rule that I could only go 26 minutes from my house, and I couldn't go any further. And it was linked to something to do with, well, then I'll be able to get home if I have a migraine or something like that. Can't even remember why, but it's always arbitrary. But that was the limit around my house where I felt safe traveling, and I couldn't go outside of that. So if my kids had a school match, I'd look on the map and see if it's 27 minutes, I'll make an excuse and say I'm busy and I can't go. And if it's 24 minutes, I can make it. And what the insight that I had, the realization that I had after being in this conversation for a while, starting to see where well-being really does come from, I suddenly saw that even if I never left my 26-minute comfort zone, even if I never left my own living room again, there was the possibility and the potential of me living the most amazing, wonderful life, experiencing I always think of it as like the gold dust of human experience, the most beautiful feeling that any person can experience, even if I never left my house again, even if I never saw my mum again, even if I'd never be able to see my kids if and when they went to university, even if I had to miss their school matches, that my well-being was not dependent on how far I could travel. My well-being was not dependent on me being able to do the things that I believed I couldn't because of anxiety. And before that, so remembering anxiety, before that, I thought I had to nail those things in order to be okay. I thought I couldn't be okay unless I broke the 26-minute barrier. I thought I couldn't be okay unless I could go to the supermarket. I couldn't be okay unless I knew I'd always be able to visit the people that I loved. And I saw that my circumstances had nothing at all to do with my ability to experience well-being and peace of mind in this moment now. And as a result of seeing that, before that, I'd set up a lot of controls and I'd have to take care of my life and manage myself to make sure that I was always in those comfortable areas. And after that, I stopped white-knuckling it. I stopped pushing myself. I stopped trying to go and do things that I couldn't do. I just dropped all of it. And before that, I had been setting myself tasks to try and go a bit further and try and go a bit further and try and make myself do it. And if I don't do it, I'm terrified what's going to happen if I get stuck in my house for the rest of my life. So I have to keep pushing myself out. I have to keep making myself do it. And all that fell away. And I was just left in a beautiful feeling, enjoying my life as it was in that moment, whatever the circumstances. That was freedom. I thought freedom came from being able to go 27 minutes from my house. Freedom came from knowing I never needed to, and I was absolutely fine. That was really cool. Oh my God, that took so much off my to-do list. There's so much I'd been trying to do. The next one that I saw, which was, and this was probably only about a year ago, I had an experience where I just had the anxiety of an ordinary person, right? Which is kind of where I live most of the time now. So I get scared of some stuff and not scared of other stuff and whatever. But I had a period where I started to feel really anxious again, like I started to feel shaky when I went out to the supermarket, like out of the blue, and I hadn't had that experience for ages, and it really shocked me. And I went to, actually, Aaron Turner was my mentor at that time, and I went and spoke to Aaron about it. And he said to me, all that's going on is that you think it's not okay to, you've suddenly decided it's not okay to feel anxious. And I was like, you're damn right. This is what I'm teaching people every day. It's what I do for my living now, is I help people who experience anxiety. This can't come back. This can't not work. I can't believe I've broken the principles. I'm the exception to the principles here. I was so upset because I thought I found the thing that's sorted this out for me, and now it's broken. And not only that, but I'm a hypocrite because I'm showing up and I'm teaching people about the principles, and I am sitting here and I'm freaking out when I go to the supermarket or whatever. And yeah, when Aaron pointed out to me, you're not okay with the fact that you're not okay. And I was like, I'm really not okay with this experience. I want to be okay. I really need to be okay for everybody. And he kind of said, well, are you okay with could you be okay with the fact that you're not okay about having anxiety? It gets confusing. But there was something in that. I heard that and I suddenly realized that it was okay to have whatever experience I was having. Even if I was resisting anxiety, if I was accepting anxiety, if I was with it, if I hated every moment of it, that I didn't need to manage myself anymore. And the most amazing thing about that experience is I really saw in my bones that I was free for anxiety to come and go as it chose, and I didn't need it to be gone in order for me to be okay, or for me to be not okay about not being okay, whatever. Whereas before, the conversation had led me to a place where I was experiencing much more peace of mind. And I believe that the anxiety is gone. It's completely gone. That's what I tell all my clients. This conversation removes anxiety. It's gone. It's totally gone. And so when it came back, it really shocked me. But that insight freed me up. Because before remembering anxiety, I was anxiety-free, but I had a little, like a tripwire. Like, if it comes back, I'm going to watch out for it coming back. So I'm okay as long as it doesn't come back. And that insight really helped me see that it can come back and go and come back and go for the rest of my life. And again, it has nothing to do with my capacity to have well-being. A lot of my clients don't know it's okay to not feel okay, not feel not okay. They don't know it's okay to feel crap. We think that when we get this understanding, when we understand the principles, somehow at the back of my mind, I still thought, when I get the principles, I'll be, I don't know, happy all the time? Like, that I'll never get anxious, or I'll never get sad, or I'll never get upset, or if I only understood the principles better, I wouldn't be having this horrible experience in this minute right now. And that insight just gave me freedom to have the full, every flavor of the human experience. To be okay with the fact, the knowing that every flavor of the human experience can show up. Instead of trying to manage my life and my principles understanding so that I only got strawberry. And that was immensely freeing. And then the last thing that I wanted to share, and this one's really new for me, this is in the last couple of weeks, of where I'd been living in a level of anxiety that was completely and utterly invisible to me, that I hadn't seen at all, was I have a friend who works out a lot at the gym, and she's got this really super toned body. She looks she's just got like biceps, and she's got a six-pack, and she's the same age as me. She'll stand next to me in dance class, and she is the same height as me, and she just shows me like what I could do if I worked out like 10 hours a day in the gym. But I came home from dance class, and I spoke to my husband, and I was saying, she must work out for like probably 3 or 4 hours a day in the gym to get that body. And I was being a bit judgmental and bitchy, and I was like, well, why would you do that? Like, why? Like, she's missing out on life because she's so busy about what she looks like in life and working so hard to look amazing so that she can be in the gym looking amazing. It's like she's missing out on life, trying to look good for life. And my husband turned around and said to me, that's what I think, Nick, when you spend time looking at personal development stuff. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that having found this understanding, part of what I've done is taken my got to learn more, got to know more, there's more to see, carry on in the conversation, got to go deeper, got to go more. I'd just turned my ambition and my desire for more and turned it on the principles. I was consuming content like more than anyone else here, because I like to be top of the class. If we'd had a tick chart, you'd have seen that I was watching videos, listening to podcasts, reading books, hiring mentors, apprenticing with Michael, going and working with the Pranskys, like you name it. I've worked at the highest level with nearly every one of the mentors I could find since discovering this understanding. And what I saw in that moment is that I had been living in a completely invisible veil of thought about there's somewhere better to be than where you are right now. There's more. There's somewhere different. If only you could get the next thing, the answers in the next book, the answers in the next video, the answers in the next conversation. And it's been driving this like seeking behavior that I create programs for my clients because I want to see more about this area and I want to see more about that area. And what I suddenly saw is I'm sitting here watching a YouTube video of Sid Banks about how to have a nicer life, listening to him say, if you get a nice feeling, go out and enjoy your life. While my family are sitting having a barbecue on the patio without me. And I'm sitting here trying to learn about how to be a better person, a nicer person, so that I can have better relationships with the people I love. And I was 3/4 of the way through a Michael Neill podcast, and I haven't pressed start to listen to it again since that moment. And I haven't watched anything, and I haven't read anything, and my books are all half finished, and my videos are all half stopped, and everything is just stopped. I'm only here because I paid for the ticket before I had that insight. And they told me I was speaking. So I couldn't not come. But this is Linda was talking yesterday about the wobbly ones that are like just settling in, and the impact of this, the domino effect of this insight for me is going to be huge, because 25 years I have spent consuming every bit of content and information I can about how to have more peace of mind. And what I didn't see until that moment is it's baked into our bones. We have, I know they say it, but really, we have everything we need. I was born with the capacity for insight. I was born with the capacity, I was born with experiencing consciousness to realize the truth of how our experience is created. I create my experience through thought. I have done since the moment I was born. I don't need a book to teach me that. I don't need a book to show me where peace of mind is. I can just go and live my life. And I know the direction that I am facing in since the moment I've had my very first insight, that if there's more to see, it will be revealed to me. I'm facing in the right direction. Nothing more I need to do. Nothing more. I don't need... The answer's not outside of me. The answers will awaken in me as I go about and enjoy my life. And I feel like I just got my life back. So, anyway, now Dicken's going to say something profound.